Hi, my name is Mona, and I will be doing my evaluation of interpersonal communications on the show Game of Thrones, but I'll be focusing primarily on Cersei Lannister, and that's just basically because there are far too many characters and plot lines and intertwining stories to piece together for one presentation, at least not within 10 minutes. So we'll be just focusing on her own character development and how her actions actually isolate her, how her communication styles actually destroy all her relationships. Now, the basic premise of the show is that there's this kingdom and the king has died, and there are several different people who hold power who feel as though that they have a valid claim to the throne, and their fight to get that throne and how to use power and influence to coerce people to join them or force people against them. Now, spoiler alert if you're currently watching the show or plan on watching the show and you don't want to know what happens, end this video here and go and see someone else's, I guess. But yeah, I will be going into things that are happening in the current season. So if you need time to catch up, it's probably not a good idea to watch this right now. Now to begin, Cersei Lannister is the queen, and also, well, she kind of teeters back and forth between the title of queen and queen regent. So whenever she is queen, she's actually married to the king, and or she's at the point in the story where she has taken the throne for herself. When she is queen regent, it refers to her being the mother of the king or the future king. So she's kind of like the queen enacting until he gets married. But a couple of the theories that apply to her is, for one, the cost benefits theory and the standpoint theory. So the cost benefit theory is also referred to as the social exchange theory, and this is because this is actually an exchange of social needs. It's actually looking at someone or something that you know costs you in some way, shape, or form. In her case, it is the family, the Tyrells. Now, that's the second most rich family in the house. Cersei Lannisters is the richest family in all of the realm, and they are at odds with one another because Cersei feels as though they are trying to overcome their power. And Cersei ends up basically tormenting this house for as long as she can, trying to ruin all their plans and making them live this horrible experience with her until finally she figures out that she needs them more than she hates them, and then ends up trying to create this truce to bring their powers together to overcome something which she hates more than them. So, and we'll get into what that thing she hates more is later. Now, as far as standpoint theory, and this is reflected as Cersei's need to remain in power. I mean, she grew up in a prominent household, the richest one, as we spoke of earlier. Then she became queen, and then she mothered children, actually incestuously, which we will talk about later as well. And she has this inner drive to keep that power. She has never experienced an impoverished lifestyle. So her perception of the world is quite different from the average person. And she ends up trying to keep that power by any means necessary. I would consider her pretty high on the Machiavellian scale because she tries to coerce people and manipulate people to keep that power. And this is reflected when her husband dies, the king, and his hand, which is the person that he puts into power to kind of assist him with his duties, who he entrusts to be like his right-hand man, basically. His hand discovers that the son of Cersei is not the king's son, that this is actually the son from her brother. She is in this incestuous relationship. So he finds this out upon the king's deathbed and changes the words of his final letter from allowing King Joffrey, the son, to become the king once he becomes of age, to his rightful heir. And then he presents this because the king has asked the hand to take the throne until the son comes of age. So he presents this letter to the queen upon his death, and the queen, using the power that she already has, with her drive to remain in power, just simply tears this little piece of paper up into little pieces as if it were nothing. She doesn't care at this point. She knows that she has pull. She's spent years using that power and getting people to spy for her and creating this kind of network of associates, that this is nothing to her. And it means nothing to her. As long as she gets to keep her status, she is fine, and she doesn't care who she walks all over for that. Now, as far as different concepts go in the storyline, one of them is her debilitative emotions. The second is her types of power. In her case, it'd be legitimate and coercive power. And the third issue is her high-intensity conflict usage. So with the debilitative emotions, you can see in Cersei that she holds a lot of resentment, anger, sadness, jealousy, paranoia, the most destructive kind of feelings to hold inside of her, and she just keeps them raveled up, stirring up the pot, and then she lashes out on whomever the poor soul is who comes in her way, one of which is Tyrion Lannister, her youngest brother, also known as the Imp, because he is the half-man, aka the midget of the family. And in this era, having kind of physical hindrances to your abilities, it's highly frowned upon. But this house is so rich that they just said, well, we're not going to let him out to die. We're going to keep him because he is a Lannister. And the thing that really gets to Cersei is that her mother died giving birth to him. So she just resents the poor little guy Tyrion this entire time. And he's a very intellectual character, very smart. He uses a lot of strategy in his actions. He's worth listening to. In fact, I would consider him the most interesting, wonderful character on the show. But Cersei refuses to see any worth in him because of those feelings that she has built up inside of her. And she uses every single instant that she can to just bring him down, to talk down to him, to belittle him, and to make him feel horrible on the inside, making him feel guilty for her mother's death, or like he's worthless. And this hurts her in the end. She keeps people at this arm's length. She doesn't trust anyone. And she's not afraid to say anything that she has inside of her head. Now, the types of power that she uses are legitimate and coercive power. Legitimate because of her social standing. As queen, she has leverage over people. She has the power to inflict laws, to influence the king, to say yes or no. And there are repercussions if things don't go her way. However, she uses coercive power hand in hand with her legitimate power to threaten people. She uses her standing in society to make people fear going against her, even if they have every legitimate reason to go against her. She doesn't care. She'll kill you. That's Cersei. She's the queen. She has pull everywhere she goes, and she can make things happen in your sleep, and it's fine with her. And she shows this throughout the show. One episode, she was actually approached by, I don't know, I'm not going to say a friend, but an associate of her, Baelish. And they get into the conversation where Baelish brings up the fact that he knows, he slyly brings up the fact that he knows that her son is not her legitimate son, and he says knowledge is power. And then she gets the guards to step towards him, almost kill him by command, and then pull away, turn around, close their eyes, and her comment was, power is power. Now, the last concept is that of high-intensity conflict. The thing about Cersei is she doesn't care who she kills or how many of them she kills. She ends up killing her, the people wed to her son, leading to his ultimate suicide, along with the religious sect that has risen against her because they have gotten in the way of her power, and she doesn't care who goes down. She's willing to murder them if they get in her way. And that is your summary of Cersei Lannister. Hope you enjoyed it, and check out the PowerPoint in the link. Have a good day. Bye.